Good morning. It is day two of installing the new lithium battery. No, it did not take me 2 days to install a battery. What I ran into was I had to rearrange a lot of the electrical wiring that was up in the front for a couple reasons. Come here, I'll show you what I was dealing with. This is what's going on. It looks a little different. I know I didn't put a whole lot of highlight into this yesterday, and I wasn't going to show the rewiring project. I know that would have been kind of boring, but I'll just kind of give you the highlights. I left this fuse distribution panel. It has a cutoff built into it. I was going to add another cutoff. I'm satisfied with this. This is going to work. The big addition is this distribution, these two distribution bars. To be able, and this is the other thing that I showed you as well. This is the Victron 500 amp DC shunt that I installed. Now I can monitor my battery usage. I've never been able to do that. So I've got that done. So I had to install these two distribution bars. So here, if you see up here at the top, this is our 2000 watt inverter. It and the primary distribution for the fifth wheel, all this was tied to one post on the battery. You can't have that. You have to have one connection to the battery to be able to do that monitoring. And I really wanted to combine all this. It was sloppy. I just didn't like the way it worked. And going to the batteries, I only had 1 cable. Now that I'm going to a 300 amp battery, we'll never pull 300 amps. But I went with a 2 cable here, and got it all, put together. I had to rearrange and just move all this stuff, unplug it, resize it, kind of redo my diagram a couple times. This took me about 3-ish hours, almost 4 hours. Part of it was, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and then the other part was moving it around a couple times to get it done. So this was time consuming. Taking out the old batteries was a breeze. It was no big deal. Look how much space I have in here now. Got all this space that I'm going to be able to use for storage. I haven't been able to do that. All right, let's go look at the battery install, which took 15 minutes. Here's the battery installation and the bay. I mentioned this yesterday that I'm putting in here because if you can notice right there, I have heat in here, so I can keep this warm, plus this is well insulated. Here's the battery installation. It was really relatively simple. The only thing that I did put was a couple of these D-rings and just a basic strap to kind of hold this in place and keep it from sliding around. And you can see the 2 cables coming in from the other side. There's my solar charger that's located there. And it took 15 minutes to put this in. It was just all the other stuff that was all consuming yesterday. So today I have one small project left, and I am going to be building a box to go over this, and I showed you the heater pad that I'll be mounting on the inside here. So I'll get that done. I'll show you just a little bit of the highlights of me building that box. It's just basic woodworking, no big deal. While I build the battery box, I am going to start testing the battery. I'm going to try to do this so I can get the video out for Saturday. This is a perfect day to do this. This is exactly what I wanted to have happen. It is hazy, hazy, hazy. It's supposed to start raining in about 2 to 3 hours. That's going to go all day, all night. And this is going to be perfect. This is going to simulate, even though we're parked here at home, this is going to simulate a long tow. And something, let's say, that we would be pulling on our worst case days, 8, 9, maybe 10 hours. One of these big long ones, say from, I don't know, a 3-state tow. I'm going to simulate that. I'm also going to simulate what it would be like if we pulled over for the night, say at a Harvest Host, and we have no power and we decide not to hook the generator up and let it run. We're going to go 100% solar. This is going to be a non-summer type thing. So just to show you a few things that I'm going to do. We're only on the battery and inverter, so refrigerator is on. I went ahead. I'm going to let this run for about 4 or 5 hours. This is a TV. I got it going on right now. And then I'm going to, so we've got the big, the bright lights on overhead. We don't use those when we travel, only just to get set up. We've got some accent lighting here. I'm going to turn that on, turn that kind of low. We normally have the coffee bar over here lit. I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to turn the big lights off here up top. It's just too bright. I'm going to go dark. And then a lot of times we turn this light on over the stove. You know, that's what we use to cook. Get ready to head in the workshop. I'm going to get that little wood project done for that cover. Get that run real quick, and then get that blanket. Showed you that heater blanket. Get it installed for those, you know, sub-zero days. As few of those as possible that we'll be traveling in. Now, we'll mention this too. Our solar charger will cut off at 5C. At 5 degrees centigrade. So that's, you know, below freezing, before it gets to freezing. So I'm not worried about that. What I'm concerned about is if we're at a campground or we're here, you know, in middle Georgia, and we have one of those freak 15 to 20 degree days. We get a couple of those a year. You know, that'll destroy my batteries. So I can either turn all the power off, or I can provide a little bit of supplementary heat to keep the battery warm, so that won't happen. But before we go start this project, I've got the smart shunt operating here. Let's get it loaded. Let's see what it looks like right now. Let's start with the smart shunt view here just to see where we're at as I've turned all this power on. We're currently at 100%. So let the battery charge up last night. Voltage is a little over 13 volts. We're pulling about 8 amps. What's that, 106 watts? I've only consumed 1.7 amp hours. That's while I was walking around on the inside with the TV and all that going on. Right now it's saying time remaining 1 day, 11 hours. Okay, now I hardly have any solar going into the unit. It's almost non-existent because the weather is terrible. Okay, we've gone down to 99%. So we're going to let the TV run, the lights run for another 4 or 5 hours. We'll turn those off and pretend that we're going to take a 9-hour tow. Let's see what that looks like.